Hello, my passenger friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Carffice Podcast, my car office. I'm your host, Greg Gross. Please buckle up and enjoy the ride. Episode 8. We are on episode 8. We're getting so close to like 10. Look at that, 2 hands. But we're on 8 today, and this is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun episode. If you got to listen to episode 7, which if you haven't, I'd go back because I was more transparent in the episode than I've ever been about my death to life story. And I shared some graphic things. I shared things publicly that I've never shared before. And that's what's actually going to happen on this episode too, as we jump in here in a moment. But first, I just wanted to thank all of my listeners, everyone that watches on YouTube, Spotify, podcast, Facebook. You get the links through Instagram, whatever it is, however you have found me. Thank you for finding this amazing podcast. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing, liking, subscribing. Remember, anything that adds value to our lives, we pass it on to people. So thank you for passing this on. It's been a joy. It's been a joyride. It really has. And I'm enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying it. Today was enjoyable too. I went to the beach with my family. We here in Erie, there's this beautiful beach about 5 minutes from us. Kids had a blast. It looks like the ocean. Erie is like one of the biggest bodies of water for a lake, Lake Erie. And so it's like the closest thing to the ocean you can get, really, besides the ocean itself, right? So, man, that was a really great day. The rest of my family, they're like napping, chilling. I get to record this. I get to spend time with you. And then go home for some amazing dinner. Let's see here. Man, where was I? Oh, by the way, this hat, this Never Walk hat, it is just rugged. It is just rugged. Man, this is good wear and tear, isn't it? I just thought you would enjoy that. But we're going to jump in today. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with jumping in? Because I am. So here we go. This episode is called Delano Days. I told you I was about to jump into my 3 different vocational ministry jobs from the past. And this is my first one from Delano, Minnesota. I want to call this episode Delano Days. And that's why. That's why it's called Delano Days. And I kind of have a little bit of a, I guess, a disclaimer before I go into this episode when I go into the next couple weeks as well. Here's the thing. This is my story. This is my story, my side of the story, my opinions, my lived experiences. Obviously, other people, I'm not going to be, sharing specific names or anything like that during these next few weeks because it's not important. That's not necessary. But obviously other people that were a part of these stories or these seasons have their own opinions and lived experiences and all in perspectives and stuff like that. And that's great. That's life, right? That's why life is so fun and so exciting, and why there's so many awesome, interesting people out there just like myself. But here's the thing. This is my lived experiences, my opinions, my perspectives, and all that kind of stuff. So if those other people, after they hear this, or whatever, I don't know who's going to all listen to this, they're more than welcome to share it on a podcast too. They're more than welcome to share it with the world too. Because here's the thing, all this is going in a book someday too, because I truly believe this will add value to somebody's life, because it's not easy. It's hard. It was hard. And you're going to hear some of that today as I dig into some of the story from Delano, Minnesota. All right. So here we go. Delano, Minnesota. I went to North Central University in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And before I graduated in May of 2011, I got the amazing opportunity to receive my first full-time youth ministry job in Delano, Minnesota. It was like a dream come true. I've waited for this since like middle school, and now it was happening. And I literally started that March of 2011. Hope I get all these dates right. And I didn't graduate till May. So it was a great honor, pretty awesome, really awesome. And me and my wife, because it was just me and my wife at the time, moved out to a little city called Maple Plain, Minnesota, right outside, about 10 minutes outside of Delano. Man, it was so small. I think it was probably unincorporated. It had a little library, the little railroad tracks went through it, which, by the way, everywhere we've almost lived, the train has followed us. I mean, we had it in Maple Plain. We had it was somewhere in Beloit, I believe. We had it by my parents. We had it in Burlington, Wisconsin. And now we have it here close to us in Erie, Pennsylvania. And so it is just crazy how it has followed us. The train has followed us. I don't know. Some we're closer than others, but I just thought I'd give you that side note. Let me see. Oh, it was a great season. Me and my wife are still newly married during this time. Man, how newly married were we? I mean, less than a year, I feel like. Yeah, less than a year married. We got a little apartment in Maple Plain. I think it was like, man, I don't know. It was like on the street called Bryantwood, I believe. A great area to run around. And that was the first time like we sat down at Netflix almost every night. Any other couples or people do this. And we watched all the series of Friday Night Lights. Like literally, Friday Night Lights was the jam. I don't know why we picked that, but such a great series. I mean, I think I need to go back to that for sure. We also had a cat. We bought a cat named Maverick. Named him Maverick. That was a bad choice. He like would crawl on your head and like put his paws in your eyes and like scratch your eyes out. Maybe not that crazy. I think my wife thought I gave it too much catnip, and then in the catnip basically destroyed his brain cells or something like that because he was a kitten. But I don't think that's what happened. We also like signed up to clean the apartment complex because we got like an additional $100 off our rent every month, so that was great. I probably did more of the cleaning than Courtney. She didn't enjoy it as much. It kind of was a hassle, but it saved us another 150, I think, bucks a month. It could have been maybe even 200. So it was well worth it, just vacuuming, wiping down things, putting the, what else did I do? The softener in, I don't know, but it was great. And I enjoyed it. Oh yeah, like shoveling during the winter, all that kind of stuff. Man, I just want to stay on task today, everybody. So we had no kids. So basically life was, the job, 40 hours a week, working out, hanging with students. Courtney got a nannying job during that time, which was great. I mean, she did great at it, and we had great, 2 streams of income. Life was good. Like, it was amazing. Like, literally thinking back, even now talking about it, like, it was a dream come true. Job right out of college. Well paid for that line of work. Wife was working. No kids. Not that that's a bad. I mean, it's just different. Come on, we all know that. Had a cat, even though he was crazy, and literally living the dream. So I would say, let me see here. Jumped into that position early spring. Went throughout the summer, all the summer stuff. It was a great time to come in as a youth pastor. You do all this stuff outside summer camp. Summer camp was incredible. And man, just really connecting with students. Came in, started implementing things. So we had a youth group in the main sanctuary, but they had this other small room and like redid the whole thing. Because my youth ministry is called Flight Student Ministries, Fearlessly Living in God's Honorable Truth. Acronyms, gotta love it, Flight. And so we had this room called the Hangar. Yeah, Hangar, Hangar, like planes, where we put planes. So we redid it, repainted it, games, snack stand, little couch area. And I think it had foosball. Come on now. Just this little, like, I don't even know how big of a room it was. Maybe by like 30 by 30, maybe 40 by 40. It wasn't that big, but we redid it. It was awesome. And like literally I came in, maybe about 10, 15 students. By the time I was gone, which obviously we're getting to that point, there's like 60 students every Wednesday night. So God was on the move. It was incredible. Love the little city of Delano, like 5,000 people. I got to go to the lunches every Wednesday and sit with the students, get to know the students, get to know the faculty. I brought like McDonald's in, sometimes a surprise, some chicken nuggets, some fries for some of the students. Like I would try to change tables, and that was really cool connecting. That was actually when I first started becoming a wrestling coach too, actually. Coached for most of that season in Delano. So that's what got me into that, when I'm like, man, this is just a lot of fun. And then let me see here, man. Then I'm trying to just think of other things. It was just great summer. Loved the senior pastor and his family. They had a couple boys in the youth ministry. Still talk to them, and man, it was. I don't really know what else to say. It was on a huge property, like so much land in the back. My day was filled. I literally worked. I put so much time, so much effort, so much heart, so much passion into it that I couldn't believe how much I loved it and enjoyed it. So then in the fall, we did our first big outreach event. I wasn't even there a year, and we called it D Night, Destination Night. And man, put up flyers everywhere, went into companies, got all these giveaways, brought in some of my buddies in band from our college. Like we put on a drama, we had inflatables, we had like free pizza, soda, we did a car smash. Man, we just did it up. Like this little small city hasn't seen something like this ever, okay? And it got a lot of attention, got in the newspaper, and basically it was a whole night. If you're familiar with that type of a world, it was a whole night, and just get as many students into the door as possible. Honestly, just let them have a blast. And then at the end, give them an opportunity to give their lives to Jesus. And so, man, it was like a dream come true night. So nervous leading up to it. Don't know who's going to show up. I remember at the time, we're only running about 30 students. And the night came, it was just chaos in a good way. But by the end of the night, there was over 200 students that packed into this small sanctuary that could only fit 150, breaking some fire codes, y'all. And basically, like, the leaders had to be outside the doors because they couldn't even fit everybody in. Just incredible night. Over like I said, over 200 students and over 150 students stood up and came forward to recommit or give their lives to Jesus for the first time. So it was a great success. Youth ministry doubled basically after that, about 60 students every Wednesday night. And again, living the dream. But then, so here's where I go into some things that I haven't really shared. Some of these things I have not shared publicly, shared with a lot of friends, mentors, stuff like that. But this is where there was a turning point. Just turning point. Things went down, and it just wasn't fun. So where do I start? Well, I'll start here. No matter how awesome things were going and God was moving and building so many relationships, there's always going to be opposition. And I was young, first position. I didn't always make the best decisions. I wasn't always doing or saying the right things. I'm going to make mistakes. But I want to remain coachable, teachable, all that kind of stuff. Well, there's a certain situation. So basically, here, give you this context. It was just me, the senior pastor, and then there's a secretary on staff that just handled all the miscellaneous things. And so that was it. Basically, there might have been a kids person part-time. Couldn't really remember, to tell you the truth. Maybe just volunteers. Excuse me. But that was the only people on staff. And so the secretary or admin, she had a son, and he was in my youth ministry. He was a senior, and he was one of my student leaders. And at that time, how we ran student leadership and different things like that, they held to different commitments and standards, and they said they would live in a different way, to be an example to others. And her son ended up going off clubbing and doing all these crazy things or whatever and posting about it. And don't really know all the details there, but basically posted about it. And it was one of those things where it just wasn't a good influencing type of thing that he probably should have thought twice about with committing to student leadership, but still wanting to go off and do stuff like that. So anyways, I went into the admin's office because that was her son, and she was his only parent at the time. And I asked her, I had a good relationship with her. I said, hey, can I talk to your son? This is what happened. This is what I saw. And she didn't want to have anything to do with it. Like, she's like, no, you don't need to talk to him about that. Leave it alone. I'm like, can't really leave it alone. Got to hold him accountable. He's, he committed to this. Like, I'm not going to yell at him. Just have a conversation. What's up? Blah, blah, blah. Does he still want to be a student leader? All that kind of stuff. Well, she told me no. She said, don't talk to him. Well, zealous young Gregory here. What do you think I did? I went and talked to him. I went and talked to him. And again, just talked to him. He didn't really talk. It was just a chill conversation. I thought it went great. Well, the next day, the admin was irate about it. His mom was irate. He's like, I told you not to talk to him. You completely just blah, 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 blah. And then again, looking back, I can share it like this now. Like, in that moment, her feelings were valid. I should not have talked to him. I overstepped my bounds. Even though I did have the senior pastor's consent, and he said, yeah, go do that. I'm not saying that to throw him under the bus. I'm still close with him and love him and their family and everything like that. But the thing is, I'll just pause here. I know that's something, if I would have done different, I would have done different. She said no, I shouldn't have talked to him, should have waited. I don't know, it would have happened some way or the other. But I was, go-getter, zealous, but she was the parent, and she told me no, regardless if we're on the same team and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely something I would correct. Well, in the process of trying to correct this, my lived experiences here, people, passenger friends, she just got really mad at me and started digging up, trying to dig up other things. She trying to get her son and her son's friends against me who are in the youth ministry, started being disrespectful to me. It just started going south within even a few weeks. Well, after talking to mentors, different stuff, she brought the board into it. It was crazy. Started, they found out me and Courtney read and watched Harry Potter. So they wrote up this letter and the board gave me this letter saying these are the things we have to stop doing. And we have to correct, all birthed out of this thing that happened with her son. Well, I knew there's things I needed to correct, as far as, not the Harry Potter things. I thought that was kind of funny and silly. There's other things on that letter, on that note. I can't remember. Actually, me and my wife just found it a month ago as we were moving. But I went into her office at one point during all this, and it was getting hard. It was getting rough. It was getting emotional. It was getting taxing. It was getting stressful. All this pressure her and the board were putting on me and all this stuff. And I went into her office one day and I was crying and in tears. And I was like, hey, I just want you to know, I know what I could have done better. I know, and I apologized to her, all this kind of stuff. And I'm an emotional person. And she looked at me and said, you're just crying because you want to save your butt and not get fired. You don't want to lose your job. Literally, that's what she said to me as I'm crying and apologizing to her. In that moment, I didn't even know what to do or say. I was so broken and hurt and shocked that what else could I do? So I left the office. Again, a couple weeks passed. I'm trying to do everything I can. It's just getting worse and worse and worse and toxic, literally. And just so you know, the senior pastor kind of just didn't, and I don't say this to say anything against him, but he just didn't have a lot of control in this side of thing. It was a very board-driven church, and he loved me and we loved them, but this admin was just causing a ruckus. And it didn't matter how many times I apologized, correct, or did things right in her eyes. From that moment, I guess I just did her that wrong, and she just wanted me out of there. So there's a board meeting, and it came to a head where the board, there's 7 people on the board, and they did a vote. The senior pastor had no vote in any of it. They did a vote to vote me out, and 4 out of the 7 voted me out in around December, and I was gone by January. And here's the thing: there's actually one of the board members that told me afterwards, we were close with their family, and he said, I voted you out because I didn't want you to go through any of this anymore. And so, because he saw what it was doing to me and Courtney and stuff, so our family. That was really hard. Remember how many times I said it was like a dream job? Well, because it really was in that season of my life. And that was, my whole life, I get called in the ministry in the middle school. I want to be a youth pastor my whole life. I get a job before I graduate. And I get in this job, love it, just fall in love with everything about it and the students and everything. It's just going great, amazing. Summer camp, D-night, all this kind of connections in school, wrestling coach, and then boom, just this bomb. And there was almost like no recovering, no matter what I did. And it was toxic, it was bad, it was hurtful. And I was like, holy cow, this is crazy. Like, is this what like vocational ministry is about? Like, how did this even happen? This happened so quick, and I'm just still young and growing, and I was leaning a lot on my family during that time, and just processing through. But the thing is, I was gone by January 2012, so I was there only for 10, 11 months, and we still had our place in Maple Plain, and I did not respond well afterwards, just towards my own mental health, really. I'm not clinically depressed, but I kind of went into a season of depression, and I didn't cope well, okay? I didn't do the right things by coping well. I basically, once I transitioned out of that job, we were left in Maple Plain for a few months. In one of those months, I think the first month after, probably the month of January, probably would have been, I called them my lost years, even though it was just a month, my lost month. And what I did, straight up, and I've never did anything like this in my whole adult life. And what I did was I watched every episode of Lost, the whole series of Lost on Netflix. It was great by the way. But I'd stay up to like 3 or 4 a.m. every night doing that, watch as many episodes as I could, sleep until noon or lunch, eat, go work out, hang around. My wife would be nannying. She came home around dinner. We had dinner. She went to bed, and I would do that for like a month straight. And probably the worst part about it and how I coped is I went down the street to the liquor store, and I either got beer or liquor, and I would drink every night too, to try to forget about all the pain and try to numb myself. And again, I was not a drinker, first of all, okay? In that season of my life, and I was never a big drinker, nothing like that. Probably only had like a couple drinks up to that point in my life. And so that's how I chose to cope. I lost myself in alcohol for that month. I lost myself to Lost in that month of my life, and I was broken. I was hurt, and I knew it wasn't the right way to cope, but I surprisingly enough, and I'm not blaming anybody else, but a lot of people weren't even reaching out to me during that time. But I mean, I really don't blame them, like I said, because I wasn't really reaching out to them. Those are the choices I made. And luckily, hopefully, I didn't do anything more stupid than that. Because it's never, obviously, in my opinion, good to cope with alcohol or drugs or stuff like that in that deep type of a way, when I should have been, probably seeing a counselor, honestly, and not holding on. I was just so angry. I was so bitter, so confused, and that's how I chose to originally cope. Well, that month went by pretty quick, I guess, probably slow in the season. And then February came around, and I got my, life back together, and we're still living in Maple Plain. My wife was working, and thank God, like, her job was able to sustain us, and plus the church, I think, did give me a couple months pay after, which was nice. But what was I going to say? But I finally was starting to put my resume back out there, and within a month or two, I got another job, which was really, really, put my resume out there, and I got another job offer. We actually flew down to Jacksonville, Florida, and checked out a church. That went pretty well. We were like, oh man, this would be really cool to live in the sun and the beach and everything like that, Jacksonville, Florida, but just didn't really pan out. It wasn't really, our cup of tea. Kind of weird. We sat in our hotel room after everything, and we were just like, yeah, don't feel good about this one. So we came back to Maple Plain. A handful of churches reached out, but one in good old Beloit, Wisconsin. Back to my roots. Well, I didn't grow up in Beloit, West Dallas. Didn't really go to Beloit much, but it was right on the border of Illinois and Wisconsin. Church reached out to us there, traveled there, did an interview similar to Jacksonville. It just felt right, looked right, going back kind of home to my home state. So that also made me feel good. Even though I loved Minnesota, by the way. I still love Minnesota. Actually, that's one of the places me and Courtney would actually probably live if we didn't have family here in Erie. Because we have just so much friends and memories in Minnesota. That's where we met. That's where we just so much. And, did a lot of ministry there and just college, everything. So, but we ended up taking that position in Beloit, Wisconsin. And we're super excited. I still was hurt and processing through everything that happened in Delano, but I was ready to go. I was ready to go. The Enneagram 3 in me was ready to get back after it, prove it to myself, prove it to, honestly, kind of like even the church in Delano to prove it to them they made a huge mistake and stuff like that. And that's kind of what was my mindset. Not saying it was a good one going into that, but that was just me ready to go. And I jumped back into it's another full-time vocational ministry job. And I'm going to leave it at that because Beloit is a whole nother story of transparency and shocking things, good, bad, ugly. And we're not going to get into that today because that's going to be a whole episode by itself for next week. So you're just going to have to come back and hang out in the Carffice and buckle up and all that kind of stuff. So, but I took that position in April of 2012. So again, was in Delano from March of 2011 through basically the beginning of January 2012. Had my last month, kind of refocused, got a new position a couple months later, took that in April of 2012, and then my new chapter, or me and my wife's new chapter began in April of 2012 in Beloit, Wisconsin. So stay tuned for that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, there's things in there. You probably can guess the things I never have shared publicly with people before. And, but I know I need to. I mean, what's the point of doing this podcast if I'm not going to be fully vulnerable and share my life story? It's not going to help me. It's not going to help you. There might be other pastors out there, young pastors like myself that are going through things that I've gone through. And I just want to let you know, just remember, you're important, you're worthy. As long as you respond well and you remain coachable and teachable to some of the mistakes you made, remember, you can only control what you can control, and people are going to hurt you. And unfortunately, sometimes you're going to get hurt most by people in the church. And that's life. And unfortunately, I've experienced that more than once. It's just what it is. You got to forgive. You got to have grace. You got to keep growing. And like I said, remain coachable and teachable and respond well. You're going to make mistakes, but doesn't mean you make the same one twice, and you can't control somebody's response. So don't try. Just do what you can do and lean on your loved ones and mentors. So if there is a youth pastor or a pastor or someone going through a difficult job situation, it could be vocational ministry or whatever, I just really encourage you to definitely not do what I did with the law. I mean, maybe you want to watch Lost and mope around for a couple weeks, but I wouldn't cope with the alcohol type of thing, obviously. But, man, just stay strong. Never walk. Never give up, right? Never give up. Boom. Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Never walk. Never walk. So next week, we are going to dive into Beloit. Week after that, dive into Burlington. My other two vocational ministry jobs. Excited about both those episodes, and I'll be sharing things in both those episodes too that I've never shared publicly. So you're probably going to want to come back and stick around. This is a very stretching, if you're comfortable, you're not growing. So I'm growing through these. I hope you're growing through these. We can all grow together and all that good stuff. So I'm kind of looking around a little bit because I had one car. So I'm in just another random parking lot, people. That's what I do. I try to find shade, kind of a public area during the day, and without not like a place of loitering, but maybe that's what I'm doing. I don't know. But this car pulled up next to me over here, was watching me for a while. Another car just drove past, so I need to shut this thing down before maybe I get the cops called on me here. And good old Erie Pennsylvania. But this was great. I enjoyed this. It was kind of even therapeutic for me a little bit. Man, just talking through those different things and looking back. Again, I still, no matter how hard Delano was towards the end, I really still love that city, love those people, talk to a lot of people from there still. During, that was less than a year of my life, me and Courtney's life, but there's still so much good that, it was 95% good. Unfortunately, the 5% towards the end really took me out and was hard and had me second guess a lot of things. So, but again, a lot of dear friends, families over there still talk to once in a while. Just a lot of good people in Delano, and you know who you are. And so thank you. And those, and maybe you don't live in Delano anymore, but you did during that season I was there. Just thank you. Don't forget, don't forget all those Applebee's nights too. Me and the students, we always went to Applebee's for half off appetizers after every Wednesday night. I'd give out, new visitors that came, I'd give out $5 gift cards, and so then, but we'd always go to Applebee's after. Man, such good times. Such good times. And Friday night lights, real Friday night lights, football games at the high school. So it was good. It was good. So thank you, Delano. Regardless, even though towards the end there, it was just, unfortunately, certain individuals, usually is, but I forgive them. And I wish them the best. And if they do end up ever hearing this, obviously I didn't mention any names, but if they ever listen to this, they know who they are. Remember, this was my opinion, my lived experiences, my perspective on it all. You probably have all your own too, and feel free to share it if you'd like. Reach out, we can have a conversation about it. But I hope you're doing well and wish you well, truthfully. And like I said, I do forgive everything that went down that wasn't done well or appropriately, but that's life. We all make mistakes, right? So, and I apologize again for being a zealous, crazy young person. So, but I'm still crazy, zealous, just not as young and not as much hair. So, all right, well that will be it for now. I think that was good. That was a doozy. I hope that was enough for you. Again, we should, like I said, probably shut this thing down before maybe I get in trouble. I don't think I'll get in trouble, but again, thank you again for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing, subscribing, liking, putting it out places, putting it on your wall, telling your friends, helping this add value to somebody else. If you know another pastor, youth pastor, or another person that's going through a hard time and you think this would help them, send it to them. Why wouldn't you send it to them? Because that's what we should do. We should help each other out if we know something that would help somebody out. So there we go. There we go. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. All right, my pastor friends, I hope you enjoyed your ride today in the Carffice. I hope it helped you in your current location or towards your next destination. Until next time, be well.